What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode. We're back with part number 12 today for the Belgium Grand Prix. And for the first time ever in the episode, we're not kicking things off with an upgrade. We didn't actually purchase one at the end of the last Grand Prix. We did not have enough points. You can see we've got enough technically for a reliability point, but I'm really eyeing myself up for a third engine upgrade, which is quite surprising, to be honest, after all I said at the very start of this season about focusing on the chassis and aerodynamics. Really now, in looking at it now, the Toro Rosso really is lacking a straight line speed. Chassis-wise, I think we're good. Even aerodynamics-wise, I can make up for it in the corners with a few higher wings on the setup, on the actual setup menu in the car. So really at this stage, just looking at all the power really and trying to make up for that deficit the Renault engine has to the Ferrari and especially the Mercedes engine, obviously in the back of the Williams and the Force India, which has been working so well for them. But you can see, as usual, just before practice, trying to squeeze out as much as we can out of the components, going to a lot of the second ones. Obviously, all the first ones are very worn at this stage, so we're going to the second one and we're on our third one to actually use during qualifying and the race. But we're going to go to practice and see how it goes.
Welcome to one of the most unpredictable tracks on the Formula One calendar. Welcome to Spa. It looks like the teams are removing the tyre warmers in the garages, so we should see some action shortly. The Spa circuit really is one of the most iconic tracks on the calendar. And Eau Rouge is one of the best corners in F1 history. A sweeping left, right, left with a blind summit.
It's a downhill start with a sudden elevation change as you surge into a steep uphill section. From within the car, you cannot see the exit until you crest the hill. It's essential to stay flat out as the long Kemmel Straight continues to climb immediately afterwards.
So getting into what is going to be one of the longer drawn-out practice sessions just because of the actual size of Spa-Francorchamps. Obviously, the circuit is so long, so going around one lap only to do these practice programs takes a bit of time. We can see even with a bit of a tank slapper or a major half spin at the last corner, we still got the full purple for the track atomisation. Tyre wear, though, the first attempt I tried, you can see I'm clearly in the purple, so tyre wear actually not a major issue. Just the actual lap time itself while doing that lap was not good enough in this first attempt, so we go across the line and it's not good enough. So I actually had to change out one of my engine components to then eventually cross the line to actually do that and finally get the full 50 points for the tyre wear test. We then go onto the fuel saving, which was really decent actually. You can see right all the way to the purple, lifted off right at the end there, started some delta time in the bag, so fuel saving wise, very good. So at Spa, I think we may be able to even run a little bit in deficit of fuel at the very start of the race, and we'll be able to easily save that, at least you would hope so, from the practice program. And then we run through the race strategy program, and as we go down the inside, you can see making a move on Kevin Magnussen. You can see getting all out of shape, cutting the corner even, because actually I lost a gear and I didn't even realize it as we crossed the line. Unfortunately, didn't get the third lap in. You can see both the first two are green, but to get the full 50 I needed that third lap. Well, not possible, because as I came to that last sector, we lost fifth gear, and I only just realized as we crossed the line. You can see going from 4th to 6th, and we lost fifth gear. The Gearbox has one more race to go. You can see 5 out of 6. You have to use it for 6 rounds, otherwise you get a penalty. So you can see I nearly went for it and just changed it then, but then obviously that came up and reminded me that I get a penalty. And so I thought, okay, let me just see how it goes. Let me go into FP3, do the qualifying target, and let's see, do the qualifying practice program and see how it goes. And initially, when I was starting the lap, I had 5th gear. 5th gear came back to me, so that gearbox kind of almost came back to me in a way overnight, as you could say, from Friday to Saturday into FP3. So we come down into the final bus stop chicane, and we're going to come across the line to finish off our first flying lap here. You can see the delta time pretty good on the green. I thought I had quite a bit of time in the bag there, but we come across the line. It's only the green optimum, only the good kind of target met, not the optimum, which is the target of 13th place. We've only got the target of 17th place in the qualifying program, which was a little bit worrying for me once again, just like from Hungary, that we weren't going to be very much on pace here. Obviously, in real life, the Toro Rosso wasn't that great in qualifying around Spa. Obviously, Carlos Sainz did a great one-stop strategy with the help of a safety car in real life in yesterday's race to get 10th place in the race, but in qualifying, both Toro Rossos horribly off the pace. And then you can see here, through the third sector is pretty much where I'm losing most of my time. You can see the delta time just right about now, as I've lost 5th gear again, I think that is, you can see the delta time just climbing so badly. It's like I'm lifting off, but I'm not. I'm full flat out here. You can see the engine is getting quite worn in FP3. Obviously, I'm going to change the components, but very, very bad. And again, the gear got lost. So my kind of hope of the gearbox coming back to me and just being fine for the race was not going to cut it. So you can see as I'm changing my components here, we're going to stick with the third internal combustion engine, which is a little bit worn, but the rest of them are all green. But it looks like we may struggle quite a bit in qualifying with this kind of broken gearbox. And really, I thought, as much as I would like to take the take this second one, it was painful to see the amount of speed I was losing from changing from 4th to 6th straight away on the early upshift, especially through that third sector, because I was actually really, really decent in sector 2 and even sector 1 really as we went up Eau Rouge, because in the first corner I was getting a bit of time, sector 2 I was. But third sector was a nightmare. So in the end, I decided I am actually going to break the gearbox seal. I'm going to change the gearbox. We're going to take a 5-place grid penalty for changing the gearbox for qualifying and the race. And we're just going to take it on the chin and just try and see how we do. But hopefully that will boost our qualifying somewhat. So let's go into that and see how we do.
It's qualifying time at Spa, one of the mightiest tracks on the Formula One calendar. Long straights, up and downhill, Eau Rouge as well. This track isn't for the faint-hearted. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily. It's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
So you join us right in the middle of our flying lap, already 2/3 of the way as we go towards the end into Sector 3, the back straight. This area where I was losing so much time in practice definitely felt a bit better on the exit, but you can't quite tell because there's no way to see what the delta time is, as you need to set a lap first to actually get that delta on the top right, obviously. But Massa goes fastest for now. I'm sure the Williams cars, as ever, will be very, very good and probably a bit too good in qualifying, although Hamilton now pips in for the provisional pole position, so we'll see what they go with the two Ferrari cars obviously probably going to be close behind. But we go through the last few corners, a little bit wrestling over the car, over the curbing, open DRS across the line, and for now we're going to wedge in behind Kevin Magnussen and Fernando Alonso, which straight away kind of worried me a little bit, being behind Kevin Magnussen. Obviously he does have the very good Ferrari engine in the back of that Haas, but yeah, it worried me a little bit, and we don't have enough time actually to come into the garage and set another time, so I actually just continued on for another lap. I had enough fuel actually technically, even with the max boost power in the engine setting, obviously for the fuel mixture. We continue on for one more lap. Obviously with the 2017 tyres, they don't wear out too much, so I was actually finding some time. You saw we were briefly green, we went red, now we're back to the green as we go through that exit, and so for now we're going to stay green throughout this entire bit, and so we are going to improve, not by too much, but at least a tad. But you saw through Pouhon we had a bit of a struggle going a little bit sideways on the curbing on the exit there. But as we go through Blanchimont now towards the bus stop chicane, at the moment we're in P9, which I would really take honestly here at Spa, considering the lack of power we have in the Toro. So through the final corner now, going to open the DRS as early as we can across the line. It is going to be an improvement for us. We're going to stay P9 though, so it was actually a tiny improvement, but not enough to even improve our position. And I cheekily tried to maybe see if we could go for a third lap. Didn't happen. I abandoned that lap time, and at the end of qualifying, as I went to retire from the session, we actually went way down the order to 15th place. We actually got out-qualified by our teammates. So a woeful qualifying. Obviously added on to a 5-place grid penalty. We're going to be starting last once again in this Grand Prix. Jolyon Palmer didn't even set a lap time for some reason. But we are not even going to... we're going to be starting last again in this race, just like we did last time out. I don't want this to be a habit, but... yeah, just not good enough in qualifying. I just don't know what it is. I honestly think, once again, even with the newer engine parts, we were losing too much time in the third sector, I still think. And also through Pouhon, obviously, didn't help that mistake I made. But you can see now clearly, because we were going to start last, I did what I should have done also in Hungary. Also, a load of you guys were telling me in the comments that I should have just got a new set of engine parts. So you can see I did open up the penalties for the 5th engine. Then I'm going to swap it back for the 3rd one for some of these parts. I think we'll take maybe... I think we'll probably end up doing all three for the all the rest of the components apart from the internal combustion engine, because you can see the internal combustion engine was already very worn. So we're going to basically, that will be our practice engine now for next race. So we'll use the fourth component for the internal combustion engine, and then we'll use number 3 for the rest of them, you know, turbocharger, energy store, MGU, KH, and then the control electronics. You can see now we've got that 5th component lying there that we can use without the penalty, because we're going to take it this race. So once again, going to have to fight back from this Grand Prix from last on the grid. Spa, obviously, yes, there may be some slipstream to help us, so just going to have to hope for the best, and we'll see how we do. Maybe there'll be some rain, you never know, it is Spa, so let's get into it.
Simply put it, there really is no place quite like Spa. Anthony Davidson is alongside me in the commentary box to take you through all the action today. Now, it's a closely matched field here in Spa, Ant, so where do you think we're going to see somebody make a difference?
If they're as close as we're expecting them to be, especially through the midfield, then being able to keep the front tyres in good condition could make the difference. You always lose a chunk of downforce at the front when you're in the turbulent air of another car, which tends to cause understeer, which in turn causes front tyre degradation. Now, too much damage there could force an early pit stop and put you at a slight disadvantage, so the drivers will want to be careful not to be too aggressive early on in the Grand Prix.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Massa, Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen, Stroll, Perez, Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Raikkonen, Romain Grosjean, and Sainz, Alonso, Wehrlein, Marcus Ericsson, and Jolyon Palmer. Van Dorn and a Toro Rosso rounds off the grid.
So it's all a bit doom and gloom at the moment in terms of the weather here at Spa. Overcast conditions, once again, like we had at the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. And just like Hungary, it's going to get actually sunnier as we get to the end of this race. But you can see the strategy, once again, is going to be a one-stop for this one, for us at least. It's going to be starting on the soft tyres, the hardest compound of tyres. And we are indeed going to actually do that. We're not going to do the kind of basically what we did in Hungary, which was start on the fastest tyre, then go to the hardest tyre at the end of the race. I think this time round at Spa, this is going to be the way to go. Really stretch those softs, really quite long, and then be faster on the middle compound on the super softs. You can see the team did underfuel me quite some way by literally, I think it was 2.5 laps. So they were very, very adamant I could save that much fuel. I wasn't. Even though we did get purple in the fuel saving program, I wasn't that confident I could save that much fuel. So I changed it to, I think it was in the end, just about 1.5 laps or a lap of underfueling the car. So we'll be a little bit lighter at the start here. So let's try and get the best way we can from P20 on the grid as we go to 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. 5 lights have gone out and we're underway, and it's a decent start for us. We're going to overtake Stoffel Van Dorn straight away, who also had penalties with me at the end of this Grand Prix, so a little bit realistic there for him as we go down into turn 1. Double lock up a tiny bit as we go down the inside of Jolyon Palmer on the exit, though. He actually gets the traction back on us, so we're going to have to try and maybe slip through on the outside here. We may even try it side by side as we go to Rouge, although he will have the overspeed there, so we have to go climb up behind him as he sparks away. We're going to just about hang it around the outside there. Very, very close stuff. Had to lift off a tad, and then Alonso we've just having for chips basically with the Honda engine, pretty much just like in the real life Grand Prix. He's probably going to be on the radio pretty damn soon saying this is just embarrassing because he gets overtaken by myself and Palmer, it looks like, as he goes side by side. I think Palmer may just have that down the inside, but anyway, we're up the order, up into 15th place, I think that is. So once again, a really good start to this race from the back of the grid. 5 places gained, and we find ourselves right at the back of staring at the back of our teammates Gearbox there into turn 1 of lap 2, and you can see getting a really good entry into turn 1, a little bit of a tank slapper, but now in the slipstream, here we go to the left hand side. We're actually going to do this straight away on lap 2, side by side up the hill. No DRS, remember, on lap 2 here, so it's going to be a straight drag race, and Carlos is going to have the slipstream here. So as we go down the Kemmel straight, he may try and slipstream me back. You can see up ahead of us we've got the Haas trying to make a move on Nico Hülkenberg, and Kimi Raikkonen, who had a very poor qualifying indeed, is still there just up the road. But there goes Sainz round the outside. We defend to the inside, and Sainz actually has me down around the outside, which turns to the inside for the next left-hander there. So he's actually got us right back, so we're back down to 15th place, and I've got a horrible exit on the right-hander, and Palmer sticks it down the inside. We have to hang it round the outside, just feather the throttle really to try and keep it in here, and on the exit into this right-hander, we'll squeeze Palmer out there, and we'll no love lost there for Palmer, just like was the case with him and Alonso there in the real-life Grand Prix, although it was the corner before in the real-life Grand Prix for Alonso, squeeze that move. But now we move in to the heart of lap 3, yellow flags, and Sergio Perez finds himself in the wall there, so we went down to lean mix, just tactically saving fuel when we can. We know, obviously, we're not going to make any overtakes under yellow flag, so may as well save some fuel. And pretty much you're going to see for most of this race, I think, a lot of the time in Sector 2, just as we go to the end of the Kemmel Straight, I will go down to lead mix to save as much fuel as I can into Sector 2, and then obviously going back to standard and maybe even rich for Sector 1 and Sector 3. But that's how we're going to save the fuel this entire race. You can see we've still got plenty to save. We're bubbling around about -1 basically for most of this race, I think, until the end. But now we're trying to catch back up to Sainz, who is catching up alternatively to Nico Hülkenberg. So it looks like at the moment us Toro Rossos are having a scrap and a half between each other and also the Renault car. So pretty much where it is in the development race in the pecking order. But now here goes Sainz down the inside of Hülkenberg. Both of them have DRS, I think, as Hülkenberg got it off the car ahead of them. They go side by side. Sainz tries to hang it around the outside, turns to the inside for the next corner. Absolutely awesome side by side action between those two. I'm just kind of waiting around to see maybe if I can catch one of them napping as we go into the very understeery right-hander, and still just waiting to see if there's any room. You can see a bit of tyre contact there between Sainz's left rear and Hülkenberg's right front as we go through the left-hander with no name down towards Podium, right up the gearbox of Hülkenberg, but can't make any sort of move right now. The dirty air kicks in as we go through Podium, so have to lift off quite a bit. You can see going a little bit wide on the curbing, so we have to save it as we go through to the right-hander down to 4th gear, getting the power planted down now as we go to the back straight, the start of Sector 3, where we've been really lacking a lot of speed in qualifying. But now it looks like those new engine components are really working out well here, because we move to the left-hand side to overtake Hülkenberg in a straight line, and we're just going to get it just before Blanchimont there. He tucks in right behind us, so he's going to get the slipstream back on us. So maybe we're going to have to go a little bit defensive. We do brake at the normal brake point for the bus stop chicane, so that's all fine. And we move on now swiftly to go and focus on back on our teammate. We already tried to overtake him once in this race, and he did slipstream us back, but now we've got DRS available. As we pull up to him, though, it's very unlikely we're going to make a move into this next corner, so I go to lean mixture, brake a little bit earlier, and just get right up behind him, basically, and again, just save more fuel. We need to play this tactically. It's a long race. It's a long lap, and this is the best place to save fuel into Sector 2, and I was very confident we're going to try and get him now on the very next lap. So here we are now in standard mixture, and we can see Bottas coming out the pit lane now. He's already made his first pit stop, so the Mercedes well ahead of the Toro Rosso in terms of pace, but you can see we're going to use him to our advantage, so we're going to go once again around the outside, literally tyre banging up the hill now, so close, and I'm so glad that no more contact was made there, and no side pods were kind of collected and kind of stuck together like it may have done on the previous 2016 game. Otherwise that would have ended up in a very nasty situation. But literally tyre banging as we went through Rouge, and we just about get it, squeeze them out. No contact made on the squeeze out there, just Carlos having to lift off and eventually give us the place, and we're up into P6, although it's not obviously P6 because you can see the top runners have already made their pit stops, and we're going a lot longer in this Grand Prix to about lap 16, I would say, so 10 more laps. But Carlos now is coming back at us in the bus stop here, outbraking us around the outside. We're going to try this switchback move now, get good traction off there. He's going to get DRS, unfortunately for me, so we have to get back in his slipstream now. You can see in standard mixture at the moment, we may go to rich as we go into turn 1 once again, maybe getting a good run and up towards Rouge, and then the Kemmel Straight, and we'll have DRS once again as we'll cross the line behind Carlos, obviously. And so here we go, this time not got enough overspeed from turn 1's traction to get the move done into Rouge. So as we climb up the hill onto the Kemmel Straight now, this should be a maybe easier kind of DRS pass, really. So we open DRS now, move to the right hand side of the circuit. You can see behind we've got Hülkenberg also being chased down by, I think, one of the other front runners. But here we go, down the inside. Carlos will have the outside line, which will turn to the inside. He's actually outdone us on braking. You can see I tried to brake a little bit earlier, maybe get a bit of a better run into this next complex of corners, but it just didn't work out for me there. So Carlos stays ahead of us, and it's actually Felipe Massa there on the super soft tyres. Obviously, once again, the Williams cars really good here in qualifying and just general pace. You can see having a little bit of a nip at Carlos's rear end, but just doesn't work. He's doing quite well to defend from us, and we've also got the Ferrari not too far behind of Raikkonen there, I think, behind Hülkenberg. So slowly the pressure may be on to kind of let these faster cars through, but I'm not going to let up, and I want to continue chasing Sainz, obviously, as this so far has been a really enjoyable battle with him. Not going to lie, just as a nice race, really. Obviously, it could have been quite a boring afternoon doing a one stop from the back of the grid, but it's been a very thrilling race so far. And because we'll have DRS once again, we'll have another opportunity to make a pass on Sainz, and this time hopefully I can actually get it done into this next corner, because we've got so much more speed. We're so much closer now to Sainz down this straight. So here we go down the inside, purple first sector, so definitely a lot more overspeed there for us compared to what we had previously, and we just about make it. A little bit of tyre contact there, but fair enough, and we've got it. But on the exit you can see squirming off a little bit, and Sainz has got a good run, so we go defensive to the next corner. He's going to actually dive it around the outside. He's going to have his nose alongside my rear tyres. We just about squeeze him out on the exit, but then we go a little bit wayward and have a lot of understeer kick in for some reason left-hander. We go way off the circuit a little bit, almost tapping the wall there on the right hand side, and now Sainz is going to go for it. Oh my word, he makes the move down the inside of Podium. We're going side by side through Podium, flat out in 7th gear. Absolutely awesome. Eat your heart out, real life Formula 1, as we go side by side now into the S section here just before sector 3. Absolutely awesome battle this is with our teammate. This is a literal ding-dong battle we're having right now with Sainz, and I couldn't have asked for a better race for now from the back of the grid. And you can see once again into turn 1 then, taking a little bit of a wider line, getting a bit of a better traction zone out of turn 1, and here we go. We're going to go to the wall. Oh, so close. That's how you do it, Sergio Perez and Ocon. That's how you do it, as we go on the right-hand side to overtake Sainz. God, this is so good to watch back. Such a fun battle with Sainz, man. As we now go down the Kemmel straight, it's going to be Massa now to go down the inside of Sainz. That's going to help us out majorly, as we're going to defend from Massa. He actually sticks down the inside of us, so he tried to get 2 cars in one, but we squeeze him out there, and as you can see, dancing the car through those corners, and we're going to keep that 5th place for now. But now you can see Massa and Vettel, and I think also Hamilton, are closing in. Massa's going to go around the outside just before Blanchimont, and he's going to get us, and we're down to P6. And now you can see it's Vettel and Hamilton closing up, so they're not actually going to get us into the bus stop, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to put up too much of a fight now, as there's really no point. The Ferrari car and the Mercedes car obviously are so much faster than the Toro Rosso. So now down the main straight, don't even to try really. We'll go to lean mixture to save some fuel. May as well, as we're going to get overtaken in a straight line either way, and it's going to be Hamilton and Vettel who actually can go side by side now. I believe these two may be 1 and 2 in the standings, so this is for the championship maybe, as Hamilton goes round the outside. Vettel just about hangs it and keeps ahead of Hamilton there, unlike in the real life Grand Prix. And so it'll be Hamilton settling down for P6 and Vettel P5 as we move down to P7 now. And pretty much now we'll just run our race till our first pit stop, and our one and only pit stop. 6 laps to go till that pit stop, and we do go to lap 14 this will be, and we'll actually make the pit stop now. So a little bit earlier than I initially thought. So I was initially thinking maybe lap 16, but we're going a little bit earlier because I think I'm starting to lose a little bit of pace on the soft tyres, and the super softs obviously won't wear out too much as well. So we'll just try our best and kind of go for it with a bit of an undercut strategy compared to some other cars. And obviously I think I think a few competitors have already made a pit stop before. I think Sainz is going on for 1 more lap, but we'll see how it goes. A little bit delayed on the clutch bite point there as we exit the pits, but all in all, okay, as we come now through to the pit exit, and we actually have a bit of delayed reaction, as you can see on the bottom right, to actually disengaging the pit limiter, but we just about get it, and we come out in P10 just ahead of Max Verstappen, who for his sake has not had the same fate as he had in the real life Grand Prix. So up the hill now, he'll get us very easily. We were in lean mixture, we go back to standard, but now we go down to lean, I think it will be, because there's no point really fighting him too much. He'll just about have enough speed here with DRS. Obviously he's got the same engine in the back of the car, but we go to lean mixture now into the brake zone, lift off a little bit earlier, save the fuel through the second sector, because now as Verstappen's overtaken us, that's all the cars who are not in the same race as us have got past it. So as we move on to lap 16 now, we've got Esteban Ocon closing up to us, so that fuel will become crucial if we want to even try and fight back on Ocon and maybe the cars behind him, because I think it's going to be Palmer and then Sainz closely behind the Force Indy car. But as we go now down the back straight towards the bus stop chicane, eventually it'll be Ocon really gets the slipstream going. Obviously the Mercedes engine working so well in the back of that Force Indy car. He goes for the move around the outside, out brakes us around the outside, turn to the inside for the next one, banging tyres on the left hand side. The hand of anger goes up. We try desperately to hang around the outside, doesn't work out. He squeezes out, and actually it's gonna force us into such a bad exit that Palmer now tries the move down the inside, and he's gonna get it because he forces my hand, because he kind of pushes me into the direction of Ocon, so I can't go even deeper into that corner. And then on the exit he just gets a great bit of traction, and he gets us just before Rosso, so we have to tuck in behind as we swoop up. A lovely camera angle that is, and as the sparks go away, Palmer's up and overtaken us, so that's a little bit embarrassing with the Renault engine, but just also Palmer overtaking us, being the one overtaking us, but fair play. But now, it looks like he's going to get on the slipstream of Ocon, and you can see we're into lean mixture, because now, I thought, since Palmer actually did overtake us quite quickly there, I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's just stick behind him and see if he can do anything on Ocon. Thankfully for us, and what I thought in the end is coming to fruition, a lap 19, a few laps later, and he has done nothing. He's actually overtaken us and then just not really done much. So now it's our turn to re-overtake him and get a move on. So I gave him a chance, gave him half a chance to maybe do something in this race. Didn't work out. So into turn 1 now as we go on to lap 20 now with only 2 laps to go, squirming away, but getting the traction down now in the slipstream. We've got positive fuel now, you can see on the bottom right here. So here we go on Rouge. He squeezes out a little bit, not too much room given, but up the hill, side by side, overtaking him, up into P11. Absolutely awesome move. Once again, there's been some absolutely great overtakes in this race. It's been such a fun race to have, and it's only for what right now at the moment is P11, no points. But we get Palmer. He doesn't overtake us into the end of the Kemmel Straight and through the right-hander. We're going to close up on Ocon a little bit, really revving out. You may have heard there in 4th gear, and now it's just a task of trying to catch Ocon. So now we move on to lap 21. So 2 laps to go, including this one. Valtteri Bottas out of this Grand Prix. So we are actually going to gain a free position here with Bottas out. You can see as we move on later into that same lap, as the sun starts to come out now in Sector 2 and Sector 3, it's going to be Bottas who's going to be parked up here on the right-hand side. So I believe it's a mechanical failure. You can see he's parked up on the right-hand side there just before Pouon. So mechanical failure for him. As we go through Pouon, we gain quite a bit on Ocon here. You can see the chassis working well for us in the Toro Rosso. Obviously in Sector 3, Ocon's going to have the speed. So I'm actually going to try and save fuel as much as I can, because we go into the bus stop on the second last lap of the Grand Prix. Break a little bit earlier, because I need to play this a little bit like chess, a little bit tactically, like we've done so pretty much a lot of this Grand Prix, really. We've saved fuel quite a few times when I could have maybe made an overtake, but, we need to play this, we need to play to our strengths. And I know I can't overtake Ocon in a straight line in the 3rd sector, but with rich mix, could be possible. So now as we go on towards the Sector 3 that I'm talking about here, we've saved so much fuel now that we're in full rich mixture now on the last lap of the Grand Prix. So we're right up his gearbox now, really closing up through Blanchimont, even more so as we go through the long left-hander right up there. Now we're going to try and make a move down the inside. You can see plenty of fuel now to play with on the right-hand side of the heads-up display. Locking up a little bit though. We go wheel to wheel, side by side, round the outside, and this time though we'll have the traction, we'll have the speed with the engine, and just across the line we'll finish in P9 to overtake Ocon. Remember, he's our rival technically also in the career mode right now for the game. So that's an absolutely awesome last lap for us, and that's a really hard earned and really fun fought second 2 points there in 9th place.
A great win then for the Maranello team today. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
And as the adrenaline dies down after another eventful Grand Prix, here come the top 3 out onto the podium.
A really great race that was. So much fun. I think that was probably the funnest I've had on the game so far, really. Such a great battle with our teammate for so many laps there, the first stage of this Grand Prix. And I'm very happy in the end then to also get Ocon, because really fighting so much with Sainz, I was thinking maybe that was basically going to be my entire race. That was just the pace of the Toro Rosso for around Spa, that I wasn't going to be able to drag the car up the grid like I have done maybe previously in the past. But Ocon, with the 2-stop strategy compared to our 1-stop, managed to get it right at the end there. We got Romain Grosjean up in 5th place in the Haas, and a double points paying position for Haas as a team. So Haas really did make that 1-stop work for them. So they've done an excellent job this afternoon, and it means that actually now looking at the table in the constructors, it's actually really close between Haas and Williams, and then obviously a little bit of a gap to then Force India, then a bit of a gap to Toro Rosso, us as a team. You can see that fight from P4 down to what is P7 for Haas. That's a really close fight there, and Renault maybe could get in it if they got a little bit luckier in some of their races, but you can see 4 teams there all probably fighting for P4 to P7. So that's going to make this second half of the season really, really quite interesting. I think if Haas or Williams get a little bit luckier, like maybe I have in Austria or Force India a couple of times, then they're going to be right up there fighting for P4. So I really do hope that kind of happens, because that'll be a really, really tasty battle for the end of this season for the constructors, because obviously in the drivers, we're all a little bit spread out with how much luck we've had, or lack of luck we've had from race to race. But just at the end of the episode here, we finally got enough points. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go ahead and buy, just like I said at the beginning of the episode, that third engine upgrade for pure engine power, these cylinder heads. So that's going to boost our performance on the engine, and should actually see us get level, if not overtake Red Bull in the performance standings for the engine power. So that would be very, very tasty and very interesting to see then what really the difference is between the Taurus and the Red Bull car, just purely on aerodynamics and the chassis in terms of that direct comparison. But guys, if you have enjoyed that episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Personally, for me, that's got to be my best race of the season so far. So fun, as I said, and I'm looking forward to more. Hopefully there's more like that to come with Carlos. He's finally picking up the pace a little bit and actually pulling up his socks a bit in the race. So hopefully there is more to come with that. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly F1 content, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.